How can you embrace being single? Not tolerate it, put up with it, embrace it, celebrate it. You might be in your 20s and maybe you're single. Maybe you just, went through a breakup. Maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and maybe you just went through a divorce. Maybe you just lost your partner. Maybe you're in a marriage and you actually feel like you're single. So we're going to talk about that. How we can embrace being single. We are desperately looking for more positive role models who are celebrating and owning being single. So let's kind of explore a few different things around this topic. The first thing is, when I think about a thriving relationship, I've been doing this work a long time, 25 years. When I look at a thriving relationship, a healthy relationship, it is two happy, healthy people that are coming together. It is not two half people coming together to complete each other. It is two happy, whole people that are coming together. So if you notice, what am I talking about? It's two whole people. And this is really important because there is a really toxic lie that a lot of us have heard through music and stories and maybe family members and from a lot of different people, that somehow the thinking is you're okay if you get a partner. You're okay if you get a boyfriend. You're okay if you get a husband. You're okay if you get a partner, a spouse. And that somehow that as a person, we're not a whole person unless we have a partner. This is really toxic. This is toxic, okay? And, we think about this for ourselves. We think about the messaging we're telling our children, for all of us who have kids. Many of you know, I wrote a book called The Three Chairs. It's a business leadership book about the three attitudes that we all have, and the insecure, the confident, and the arrogant. When we talk about somebody who is really happy, healthy, whole, we're talking about that middle chair. We are talking about a person that has a really solid sense of self. They know who they are. They don't need somebody to complete them. They feel good about who they are on their own. They would maybe like a partner. There's a big difference between wanting a partner and needing a partner. So that middle chair mindset, that person may want a partner. That's okay, but they don't need a partner. A lot of times people on the left and the right chair, their thinking is, I need a partner to complete me. I'm okay if I get a partner. Toxic, okay? That's what happens on those two chairs, on those two end chairs. Middle chair doesn't think that way. Middle chair is, I want to embrace being single or not. Okay, they can choose to have a partner, like that's totally fine. But that middle chair, that person thinks, I am okay, period. If you see my TED Talk, I go very hard on this line. I'm okay, period. End of story. There's no if. There is no if in that middle chair. The person in the middle chair is, I am okay, period. I may want a partner, but I don't need a partner. And too often when you look in our culture, you look at what happens in the news, you see with what happens in entertainment, you see in all these different kind of cultures, we see people going from relationship to relationship, like there's no breaks. And it's really important for people to have a break. If they've had a break, let's say in the relationship, to take a pause. Just don't jump into your next relationship. Take a little season to be on your own, to learn how to embrace being single, and to really celebrate it. To celebrate it. One of the best things my parents actually told and taught me when I was a teenager is they said, you're not allowed to date till you're 16. And that was like really old school. It was the best thing. It was the best advice. And I actually really embraced it because what they said, Karen, you're not going to be able to be in any relationship in a healthy way until you get a solid sense of self. Once you have a solid sense of self, then sure, explore it. But your number one job is to figure out who you are and what you want to do with your life and how, what goals and that you have to do. And that was such a healthy boundary that my parents taught me, and I embraced it. And I really loved being single. Now, I'm not single now. I've got a partner. I've got my husband, but there was a long part of my life where I was like loving being single. I really did. And I would see these girls and they'd be like, I'm okay if I get a boyfriend. I'm okay if I get I'm like, why? Why are you not whole by yourself? You know, we do need relationships in our life. We need friendships. We need people in our life. But we don't need one person to complete us, okay? So I think this is a really important piece to kind of lean into it. So then the second part to it is thinking, okay, so that might make sense. So then how do we help ourselves sit in that middle chair? How do we get to a place where we can really embrace being single? And so my recommendation is really focus for a season. Okay, so let's say you're recently, again, divorced, or you're a widower, or maybe you just went through a breakup. Take a chunk of time where you're not going to allow yourself to date. I'm not kidding. Okay, so take a chunk of time, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year. Give yourself a chunk of time and say, I'm going to choose to really embrace being single. I'm going to be really careful to surround myself with people who are sitting in that middle chair. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on being really intentional with my life. I'm going to get clarity about what my purpose is. I'm going to get clarity on what my goals are. I'm going to take action towards my goals. I'm going to start really reading lots of books and listening to lots of podcasts on getting a deeper sense of myself and who I am and what I want to do and contribute to the world. Put your focus on that, because you know what happens? You know what happens? When we put our focus on that, which we can control, all of a sudden we feel like we've got a stronger sense of self. Then all of a sudden we feel like we're a whole person. I'm okay, period. If I have a partner, that's great, but I no longer need it. And so when we think about embracing being single, enjoy this chapter, okay? Enjoy this chapter and be intentional about it. Don't put up with it. Don't tolerate it. Put a boundary. It's like, I'm not going to allow myself to date for at least this amount of time, because my number one goal is to really get a solid sense of self, understand who I am, identify with what the goals are that I want for myself. And later on, if I find that one of my goals is I'd like to get a partner, great. But before you do that, spend the time right now, the next few weeks, months, on you, developing you. This is going to be your greatest gift you can possibly give yourself.